Good evening, fellow ghouls and specters alike. It's your ghost host with the most, Tiki here.
And Blue Dragon 5. Here to engage in some haunted holiday hijinks, a trudging through the catacombs, and dusting off the cobwebs to recount a spooky selection of Halloween classics.
So light the jack-o'-lantern, suit up, and grab the candy dish as we revive and recount tonight's spooky selection, The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, Fear and Loathing in Endsville. Louis Anderson. Right. So, Dragon, this is definitely a standout Billy and Mandy episode for me personally, just because as you know, Billy and Mandy was kind of like on that precipice of, like, it came out, like, I remember being into the show the summer that it got greenlit from the pilot. I remember really liking the pilot. I honestly think what killed me and, what killed the show for me, and it's funny that we do very much get a direct gag about this, is the Hector Concarnea of it all. Like it really confused me. Like, wait, we're doing, I think me and a lot of other people were like, wait, I just want the Grim, man. Like, the Hector Concarnea, it's a fun concept, but it's out there compared to how simplistic the Grim Reaper with pleasantries is. And Dragon, this is, Grim is very much an original, pleasant villain, if you will. So with that in mind, Dragon, I've never been that big of a fan of Billy and Mandy, just because, like, I kind of outgrew it after it sort of came into its own as its own show. And having said that, I gotta say, it's like I'm very much not a fan of the Billy character. So with that being said, the Billy character very much not in the episode at all, outside of like a line or two maybe. So I really enjoyed this, Dragon. It was a really, really fun ride. You got the old retired Dracula, amazing setup there. You got the basically, Dragon, the classic Breaking Bad stranded in the desert setup that we've seen pulled off 2 different times in the Albuquerque verse, but in a funny sort of cartoon setting. So this one really sings for me, and I really feel like the Louis Anderson cameo in the middle of the episode, very much like, it's very Freaky Fred-esque, Dragon. It very much kind of it sings as far as the creep factor goes. It did an adequate job of kind of making my skin crawl. So Dragon, I don't know. Like I said, Mandy, I think, is a totally fine character. Like, she's very a very funny character, and I guess the whole the whole gag is the whole Billy and Mandy. Like, Billy is obviously like a big idiot, but I don't know, man. Billy's just too aggressive of an idiot for me, for my personal tastes and sense of humor. But Grim has always been the highlight of the show. In this episode, he really gets to shine. So I'm all on board for this, Dragon. And of course, with the Dracula of it all, it really does highlight our sort of spotlight of the universal monsters in a really creative way. All right, what say you, sir?
Yeah, so I've watched the role of Billy and Mandy even when it came on as well. I would say Billy and Mandy kind of had peaks and valleys at times, where so I think as it went on, they kind of leaned into what they thought their strengths were. Where, okay, let's go really broad with Billy, which kind of led to the uber idiot, which got a little towards kind of the back half of things, kind of especially towards the end. This episode doesn't have to worry about that because Billy only has one line, so you're kind of safe on both fronts there. But like it's kind of like kind of basically towards the middle is probably where you have like Billy hitting his stride, and then we're just kind of like, well, let Horvitz do his work. We'll be hands off. He knows what he's doing. But in reality, we should probably rein it a little bit. Yeah, I mean, of course, I always loved it in the beginnings because then you had like the evil Concarnate kind of 1-2 punch, and kind of the early Billy Mandy stuff I think was some of the best. But again, there were fun episodes, and then of course you had concepts like this where I always had a great fondness for Phil Lamar's Dracula. on Billy and Mandy, and basically with the advent of HBO Max, Billy and Mandy being available, I basically watched a bunch of my favorite episodes, and this kind of came up, and it kind of led me to think, well, we're covering Dracula, this year. Why not another? And
Yeah, it's very appropriate.
yeah, and of course I echo the sentiments earlier, Tiki. I adore the Grim Reaper. I love the idea of just kind of this almighty iconic being just subjugated by two children and just this pathetic existence. But you love and your heart goes out to him. It's like, oh, he's so cool and he'd be doing so much better things, but he's just the plaything of these two very very caricatured children. So, a lot of fun there. And the premise of this episode, I feel like, it's a classic premise. It's the buddy story. It's the buddy adventure between two really fun characters. It's nice and simple. I like it. In regards to background, not a whole lot. Just this Dracula was introduced in season 5 of Billy and Mandy, if I recall. And they did like this episode. Grimm takes the kids to show them how great the universal horror monsters are, essentially, and takes them to a retirement home where they all reside. And that's where we're introduced to Dracula, like the Bride of Frankenstein, that sort of stuff. And basically, it kind of happened where everyone went gaga for Phil Lamar Dracula. He's like, let's bring him back. He tested through the roofs. Everyone loves him, and how can you not love him? Because it's very funny. So what Phil Lamar did here, and Maxwell Adams, what they kind of approached this Dracula with, is he's a mix of Blackula, the 70s Dracula,
yeah.
Basically the blaxploitation take on Dracula, and this is where, see. Black horror, I mean, it's a really fascinating subject. You look at kind of like the history of black horror in film, and Blackula was kind of like, it was a big mark in both kind of the negative and the positive life. Like, okay, how can we get kind of black people in the forefront of horror? Well, we're going to make him the monster, which has its own connotations. By the same token, let's make him a campy monster. So it kind of has that, it sort of has that, that charm there. So it has a little bit of that Dolomite charm applied to it, that 70s cheese factor. And so he's basically a combination of Blackula and Red Fox, which I think is a genius combination. I think it's so darn fun.
Red Fox, yeah, totally.
So again, Phil Lamar is just genius what he did here with just made him so iconic and so simply. And again, this is the go-to episode for Dracula and Billy and Mandy so much because he has the line in the episode. We'll get there. But that's about it. So all that said, let's get into it.
Okay, so first of all, I got to compliment the title shot, or the I'm sorry,
title card.
Yeah, title card. I'm sorry. Just because it is very Ralph Steadman-esque. Of course, Ralph Steadman did all the work for all the art for the Hunter S. Thompson books. Most famously, of course, being Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
I think kind of goes obviously with the background too. That's where they pulled the title from.
Sure.
Yeah.
And Dragon, the whole time I was just watching this episode being like, okay, where's the psychedelic scene going to happen? Because if you call it Fear and Loathing, you got to have a psychedelic scene.
Yep, and you definitely got that later.
All right, so we have cookies.
Yes, peanut butter and
Dragon, of course, with the Fear and Loathing of it all. Like, Fear and Loathing literally starts with Johnny Depp just rambling off like, oh, we've got this drug and this drug and this drug. So in the back of my head, like, I'm suspicious of anything that you can ingest in this episode. I'm like, oh, I don't know, man. Are those cookies, like, are they special cookies?
One could say we inject our protagonist with something later.
Sure.
But so Grim Reaper, folks, voiced, of course, by the wonderful Greg Eagles. If I'm ever saying that right, just Eagles just seems kind of like that Peacemaker trailer, like Eagly or something. But anyway, Greg Eagles. I always loved like the idea of, okay, let's do the Grim Reaper, give him like this rich kind of like awesome voice, but also Jamaican accent, because why not?
The Jamaican accent is really what sells it.
That's
the secret sauce.
Maxwell Adams at his best in this show. He made these random choices and these random pulls that added into these combinations, just made the show really sing. And again, all of the Grim Reaper, or again, let's take Blackula and Red Fox, and we'll do our take on Dracula. It all, it's really good thinking. Anyway, so the Grim Reaper has made cookies. He's made peanut butter and blood skull cookies, which I think are delightful. He made little skulls, a little spooky. Get it, Tiggy? Because he's a skeleton. Huh? All right. So, Billy and Mandy, they're watching essentially Jeopardy, and they don't care at all.
God.
They don't care. Like Grimm's like, is like, well, we'll have to see some old folks. They don't care. Goodbye.
And of course, there's a Jeopardy question that throws a lot of shade on Hector Concarne, which I love.
Yep. All right, let's see. So we go to Withering Heights Assisted Living Complex, is where we met him the first time. We see that Dracula stinks at Jeopardy, as they're like, throwing like all these very obvious Switzerland clues here, like Swiss cheese, Swiss chocolate, Swiss rolls, or something. As is Peru.
Switzerland. Dracula do that.
Yep. Again, also like the Mr. T element of he's always referring to himself.
Oh, it's very Dragon. It's pretty much like Mr. T, like teetering on the edge of dementia.
Yeah, exactly. Mr. T in a retirement home.
Right.
All right, let's
Rip comes in, very pleasant. Oh, Dracula, how's my favorite monster?
Retired monster. Yeah. This is who you're supposed to be. So I'm the Grim Reaper, and of course we just said this. I love how all the old folks panic. The Grim Reaper's come to the old folks' home. We're all panicking, and then just Dracula goes, "You're not taking Dracula without a fight. Dracula still got a lot of ladies to love." So as Grim diffuses the situation, like, no, I brought you cookies.
Cookies.
Yes. More like a box of pity. Dracula don't need no pity, and he's like slaps it out of his hand.
And then this just elicits a very emotional reaction from Grimm.
This is why I love Greg Eagles. I mean, the way he gets emotional and melodramatic as the Grim Reaper just amuses me to no end. And he's basically laying on the sad.
Oh, that's okay, Dracula. I'm sorry to bother you. It's just you were my childhood hero. I'm not doing that voice right at all. I'm sorry.
I didn't mean to bother you. I just, wanted to try to do something nice. Here's like he keeps exiting frame, dejected, then he keeps re-entering the lay on the guilt extra thick. This is like, go, because you're my childhood hero, and he leaves and he comes back. I looked up to you like a father figure, one could say, and then he says, let me try it. Bring it on over. So he tries a cookie. Dracula hates peanut butter. And here's the thing. This really hit me though. It's really emotionally. Like when just Grimm goes just so honestly, oh, it just seems so sad. He puts so much love and energy.
It's like your recent encounter with the Gremlins kid.
Yeah. Anyway, so let's see. So he offers to this is really nice. Basically, this is the closest Grimm gets to the Mean Joe Green Coke and a smile moment. Like hey kid, catch. Like, you want to join me at that Fanny's cafeteria? You basically want to join for the early bird special at Fanny's cafeteria.
All right, so I just want to plant a flag now and just that is such a simple concept for the episode. Just like, all right, Dracula and the Grim Reaper, they're going to go get an early bird special together.
Which is ironic.
Knowing the show, we could very much have an episode that's literally just like a conversation in a diner, like My Dinner with Andre style. And it would be funny with these two characters. But Dragon, I just love how off the rails this episode gets from that initial premise, like where you think the episode is going to go.
I also love the irony that it's an early bird special because he's a vampire. He's
right.
Yeah, but this is very relatable for me because when I want to visit the old folks, it's always the early bird special. Never, let me this way, not so much an early bird special, but it's always eating ridiculously early, as if it were the early bird special. So that's never really a fact. It's always like eating that way before when dinner time traditionally would be. It's like, really, we're gonna eat this early? This is like a late lunch. This is like, what are we doing? Anyway, so yeah, very.
All right, so Grimm gets in the car to drive, and Dracula's very insistent. Like, you think Dracula too old to drive? Move aside. I'll show you.
Dracula still got juice in his caboose.
And then instant flash, like basically jump cut.
Yeah, basically a smash cut.
The car in the middle of the desert, pretty much like Breaking Bad style, just like leaned over the side of a cliff or a ditch.
Yep, just like the Esteem.
Right.
Yeah, so just
I just love the jump cut. It's just so gloriously sudden.
Not a jump cut. He gets a literal smash cut because we both smashed the car.
Cut. Yeah, I'm sorry. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah.
Smash cut to just the cars in a ditch in the middle of a desert. We got the heat waves and everything. It's a scorcher. And just Grimm's like, you ask him, well, I thought you knew the way. He says, you don't like the way Dracula drives? You take the wheel. Of course, now with the car smashed, he hands him the literal steering wheel. Pretty funny. Okay, so logically, I love this. I completely forgot that we covered this. So logically, Grimm thinks, okay, well, I'll portal us with the scythe, because that's what he always does. But, again, for convenience's sake, for a story, we have no story if he can do that, so we acknowledge just randomly, it's never happened before, he has to charge the scythe like a cell phone.
Right.
Pretty funny though. It's just like, oh, of course, I forgot that he forgot to charge it. So they're walking back, and then I love this. The episode just forgot, and then they suddenly remember, just like that episode of SpongeBob where, like, wait a minute, how can there be a campfire underwater?
Yeah, exactly.
Those moments where we're like, oh yeah, Dracula in sunlight, especially in the desert, I imagine, it's a no-go. So he begins to incinerate, and then Grimm turns the scythe into an umbrella, and then we have Dracula had this tingling feeling. Anyways, they have the umbrella, and then they're making their way. And then we have the framing, kind of the montage framing device of the episode we should talk about.
Yeah. Oh man, the song, the great Jim Cummings. Yeah.
Do you know if it is Jim Cummings? Because it sounds,
according to Amazon Prime, it's Jim Cummings.
Cool. I didn't know.
Yeah.
It sounded. I suspected him, but I didn't look it up. So I'm glad you confirmed it for me. That would have driven me a little nuts. So. It's a little nod to country.
Can I also just say I love the visual of Grimm's thumb just like disintegrating in the wind?
Yes, during the Angry Woman song, which basically a little nod.
So here's the thing about the Angry Woman song, Dragon, because I really don't feel like we need to keep coming back to it. We should just kind of talk about it as a whole. I think that it's great because it's I feel like in modern day it probably would be viewed as it's politically incorrect because of the are you it's basically what are you saying about women? But here's the thing, Dragon, I feel like because they repeat the angry woman thing so much, it's one of those things that very much loops back around to being funny and kind of a self-parody.
Yeah.
I'm very much a fan of it.
Yeah, it's a little kind of like Burl Ives-esque, it's a little bit of little bit of that, a little bit of the repetition of just kind of the insane dialogue, kind of almost like the Happy Happy Joy Joy song to a degree, only a little less insane, just a little bit more self-parodic, with the just the country runner and tell me, Tiki, you're very familiar with Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Did they have some sort of? They didn't have a framing device like this. They didn't have a country song they kept playing.
Oh no! Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. The framing device was literally Johnny Depp describing what drugs they were on at any given point.
That's what I thought. Okay, yeah. I just want to make sure. So they're hitchhiking along the highway, and again, this is all kind of near. I gotta say, really well timed and narrated to the country music, by the way. Just to give it credit where credit's due. So we're hitchhiking. The sand disintegrates Grimm's thumb, and then enter. I think the best lyric here is enter an angel of mercy dressed as an unwashed man behind a wheel.
Okay, and this is by far, I think, the best segment of the episode. Just Louis Anderson absolutely coming in to just steal the episode.
So he plays, it's the old hitchhiking story with the creepy truck driver. So, who this truck driver always gave me a vibe of?
Who?
Kind of always this, but I kind of tacked on kind of a combination. You always remind me of what a grungy, icky version of Michael Moore mixed with.
Oh God!
So I think I always just Michael Moore was my go-to. He's like an unwashed Michael Moore, and now I've found better comparisons. Michael Moore mixed with Mr. Plinkett.
Oh my God! Michael Moore mixed with Plinkett. Yeah. Oh geez.
Right.
I could see it.
It's the darndest thing, Tiki. One of the Dragon Ball Z movies they did, one of the the non-canonical kind of movies. They did the one about Goku's ancestor, the great grandson, I believe. And anyways, they did one of those movies, and he hitchhikes for a bit. And I swear to you, a truck driver looked exactly like this guy. There is a type out there.
God.
They captured it very well.
All right, so this truck driver, Dragon, he kind of gives me also a bit of a Freaky Fred vibe.
Well, for sure, just not nearly as dapper, but yes.
Well, no, it's like, again, it's kind of like, what if Freaky Fred just went to shit?
Sure, like, what if he just really, like, what if he really went down
like, let himself go?
Too many pizza rolls.
So, Dragon, he's been right. Oh, God. Dragon, let's do this as Chick Hogan's and Romero, all right?
Yes. Alex Romero, yes.
All right. So, so the Louis Anderson truck driver, he's writing a book.
About what?
All right. Oh, God. About what?
Yeah, about what?
Okay, about toenails, Dragon, and fingernails. This guy very much in the same way that Freaky Fred is obsessed with hair, this guy is obsessed with nails.
He's obsessed with not just nails, my friend, not just toenails. No, it's not nearly as blasé as that. He's writing a book.
He's writing a book
about fingernail artwork and crafting.
Oh, God.
And he demonstrates it. Here's what I love about the scene too. If you look, like as the creep factor kind of plays out here, Grimm is being polite as he can here, trying to be engaged and all smiling, and Dracula's like he's just grumpy and he's getting wigged out by this guy. So then he pulls out a demonstration of something from his book, and then we had the Louis Anderson delivery that just cracks me up. And it's creepy but also really funny, where he shows him the fingernail sunglasses, but he says it like, what are those? This is fingernail sunglasses.
My favorite line on this is like, sometimes I gotta use toenails, but don't tell nobody.
But don't tell nobody. Oh, God. And also, that is like really creepy lines. It's so good. You know, you got some nice hands.
So Dracula, he's having none of this.
He wants out. No, I can't blame him. So he wants out, and then the Grimm's trying to call him. And then Dracula, don't get worked up. You know, Dracula don't want to end up in Lancaster.
Oh, God! And then I love how I love the resolution of this. How it literally is just spawned out of Dracula's stubbornness.
Oh, this versus you, because he gets, the driver gets paranoid, like, you're gonna steal my book idea, aren't
and
you?
Honestly, it's like very reasonable. Like, yeah, no, it's like no one cares about your freaking creepy fingernail artwork, Louis Anderson. It's fine. Like, you know, any reasonable person would be like, yeah, no, bro, don't worry about it. Trust me, like, it's all good.
But Dracula, just because
Dracula don't play that way.
He hates being told what to do, like any cranky old person. Maybe Dracula, don't tell Dracula what to do. Maybe he will steal it.
Dracula's an old man. I can steal what I want to.
Yep, which is true. Old folks steal things all the time. Yeah.
And then, Dragon, this leads into what I am assuming is like maybe one of the first Saw references.
I don't know about that, but
I don't know, Dragon. I think the timing lines up on that.
I mean, was this a bit in the Saw movies? Like they framed it exactly like this, like the whole
whole like the ominous like now we have to play a game.
No, not a game. He says we got to play the game.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like very ominously built up. Like, oh God, what the fuck kind of game is he talking about?
This, I gotta admit, this to me is the cutest gag in the whole thing.
Oh, it is. It's a great gag.
Well, he gets really mad. He gets really creepy, almost Large Marge-esque for a second.
And Dragon, honestly, I kind of find it realistic where it's like, all right, yeah, a couple games of Connect 4, I'm all good.
Yeah,
you know, I've got the endorphins flowing from a couple wins.
Yeah, I like Connect 4. I'll play. Yeah. What's the worst thing? Worst case, you lose. And it's a 4 in a row. I win again.
Right.
That's just so adorable.
I feel like if you're playing Connect 4, the challenge would be to make sure that you actually do lose.
Yeah.
Because it's like if you win, he's still not going to be happy.
Of course. And then Grimm asks, this gag's really funny. So Grimm asks, just a thought. If you're back here, who's driving the truck? And of course, once that happens, they instantly crash. But not only do they crash, Tiki, tell me, where do they crash?
They crash in literally the exact same ditch that the car crashed in.
And somehow they end up the complete opposite. they were going in, and let's say that then. So then the Michael Moore-esque driver here, Louis Anderson, he says, "Well, no, I'm gonna go on my own. No offense, guys. No offense. Nothing personal. Just the two of you creep me out." And then Dracula, and this is a runner too. He has like two catchphrases: "Skeleton Man" or "Big Dummy." Big Dummy being Sanford and Son reference. It says, he blames Skeleton Man for you not taking a limo. What limo? And basically, he points to a cactus, and he's like, we just cut the Dracula riding a cactus, thinking it's a limo. This limo hurt Dracula's butt. All right, so then night falls essentially, and then they're chased down by a whole swarm of scorpions, and then they kill all the scorpions and they eat them by the fire. Put some of that Cajun seasoning on it, which is just desert sand. So,
oh god,
yeah.
It's spice dragon. It's spice.
Sure, spice.
Right.
All right, so
that would explain the hallucinations.
Yeah, it might be actually. Might be.
I'm just saying.
So, Tiki, who's not happy about this little shish kebab?
To quote Jeff Goldblum, Dragon, "Mommy's very angry."
Yep. So, a giant scorpion mama. My babies! And then Dracula's being such a prick in the scene. Well, maybe if you would make your baby so delicious, and then he gets like, I see it's a little hard to watch, but he's jabbed in the eye by a giant scorpion tail, and then Grimm like defends his hero, and then this is like a cartoon logic thing. What you think? But like Grimm should not be affected at all by this because he's a skeleton. But then again, he's a skeleton with a tongue, and I don't know. It's all this. Basically, he gets like impaled like 9 ways to Sunday by this thing. Dracula's like, "Yeah, you better run from Dracula." And comes back. Oh, anyway, so Grimm just begs, "Dracula, you have to suck out the poison." Oh God. Vampires don't suck. This is Dracula don't suck. He says, "But you're a vampire. Vampires suck blood." And then we have the ultimate Dracula line from Billy and Mandy. Say it. Dracula don't suck. Dracula scrape and lick. Gorgeous. Just cracks me up to no end. I just love this adding this little quibble to the mythology of the vampire. It's with the Blackula parody of the semantics of no. This Dracula does not suck blood. Scrapes and licks. He's too cool to suck. Get it? He's too cool to suck. Yeah. Anyway, so Grimm, then we have your moment, buddy. Take the wheel. Oh, let's see. Oh, well, I mean, it's what can I really say about it, Dragon? It's a trippy sequence. It's borderline nonsensical. Yep. There is a reference to Cajun spice, though. Yeah, which is what we said a few moments earlier. Yeah. And of course, you do get you get the flashes of Louis Anderson with the horrific toenail imagery. Yep. And then we have life begins and ends, all spokes on a wheel, all hollow men. We are all hollow men, man. That is kind of genuinely sort of a chilling line. It is. For sure, we're all Kevin at the end of the day. All right. Yeah. It's a Hollow Man reference for the kids. I know. I get it. All right. Anyway, before we had that newfangled Invisible Man, we had a far more obscure one. Yeah, Hollow Man was basically like the really shitty version of that. Yeah, it was not great. That's why I'm so glad. See, that's the thing where I wish a part of it was kind of like the 1999 Haunting versus the Haunting of Hill House. I know, it's kind of like it's like, hey, I'm glad we didn't call that one like Invisible Man or some variation on it, but it makes me like, why couldn't like a movie like The Shape of Water get like, we can actually call it like Creature in the Black Lagoon, where in this case, it's like certain things could be swapped, but Uh-huh. All right. Anyway, so it's morning. So Grimm has seemingly survived the ordeal. Question as to how. Well, he's deaf, so that's probably how. But anyway, so it's the morning. Dracula complains. Apparently, Dracula took a dirt nap, literally, to protect himself from the sun. And he says, like, Dracula couldn't compare to sleep with all skeleton man's complaining. Like, oh, help me. Suck the poison out. Help me. Then Grimm's had enough. And you know it's something when the Grim Reaper, the man, the Reaper of all the souls, is saying, okay, that's enough. I've had it. Where he's just, you're just a selfish old man. And of course, old sets Dracula off. Yeah, just utterly sets him off here. So, nobody call Dracula old. And Grimm's just pointing out, you don't know anything about me. You don't even know my name. Just keeps calling him Skeleton Man. And, your name is Dummy. Another good line. Dracula says, I'll tell you what I do know. The early bird special is there's an early bird special every day of the week. So I
like that's his, like, coup d'etat of the argument.
Which really makes no sense, but it's just adds to the futility of the journey. Like, we went all this way for the early
right, exactly.
Special just every day. All right, so then we have again the great Greg Eagles here, just saying, you'll never understand. He just cries. It's so melodramatic, and just goes away. It's so funny. So Grim runs into somebody out in the middle of nowhere. Tiki, who is it?
It's a sand person.
Or a person of sand. Yes, we have kind of the sand bandit, if you will, or again, sand.
That legitimately feels like 2020s humor in the 2000s.
A little bit, yeah, a little bit. So the sand people, incredibly hospitable, apparently, or the people of sand, incredibly hospitable, in kind of our Star Wars parody here. Well, if you notice,
so I honestly kind of feel bad for this guy, just because right as he's going on this big, like, oh, it gets really lonely here, Grim. Do you ever get lonely? Grim's just, like, kind of awkwardly like, did you check the pepperoni pizzas?
Yes, and then, the microwave pizza.
Yeah. And then he goes into high gear when he realizes that Dracula has scraped him. And the person of Sand Dragon, he wastes no time. He's just like, oh, you need to find Dracula? No questions asked, sir. Take my car.
Here, take my car. And he's tossing the keys.
It's like I almost feel bad for him, because it's like you could tell he's like crushingly lonely, and maybe for a split second he thought that Grim could actually be a friend. But you know what? He's such a good guy that, in a moment's notice, it's like, no, Grim's in trouble. I just met him, but it doesn't matter. Take my car for the greater good, sir.
I did really like this character too, because I like that he's got kind of this nice oasis. It's like a random, it's kind of a nice bachelor pad, little futuristic furniture in the middle of the middle of the desert. Very Tatooine-esque, only looks cozy on the inside, and I also love that we have like Cantina Muzak, like kind of a variation on the Cantina band playing on the inside. So yeah, I did feel pity for this guy, but it does sound like he was going to go, you got a friend, Grim? It's like he was like a line away from saying that, All right, so yes, after the whole Dracula did in fact scrape and lick. So that always touched me, by the way, the fact that here's my analogy. This is very Halloween appropriate, so I hope you like it. So to me, the ending of this episode is very much like an homage to Lucy bringing in Linus from the Pumpkin Patch, Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown, where it's like, it's only this case set to the country music, or Grim saves Dracula from the buzzards, which always kind of touched me. Like, oh, they went through a little arc, a little journey, and he brought him back, even though he treated him like dirt, but deep down he cared. And they went over the speed limit like an angry woman as they hightail it to Fanny's Cafeteria for the early bird special to revitalize the passed out Dracula. It's a nice resolution to our little road trip. That was a mighty fine fried fish. Yes, it was, Dracula. So I love that. Then,
of course, Dracula he skips on the bill.
But I love I just love the old man logic here. Like, Grim offered to put in for the meal. Okay, he was like, how much do I owe? Like, what's my half of it? And Dracula's like, no, I got. Instead of just like taking his half, or just like, no, it's either everything or bust. So Dracula's gonna go up to the front. He's like, oh, what a swell guy, and just Dracula. Full view with the diner, just skips out, and then we cut to Grim returning home, and Billy has his only line of the episode. Hey, Grim, how did things go? I don't want to talk about it. Then we have a mid-credit scene, Tiki.
Yeah, the mid-credit scene is like, is it pretty much just like, I'm guessing it's just Louis Anderson doing an improv.
Well, no, it's just they use the same. Well, I mean, for all I know, they use the same recording from earlier, but they probably just had to say the same line, from earlier. But he gives the whole fingernail spiel about and then if sometimes not always fingernails, it's toenails, but don't tell nobody.
Oh, right, yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of nice that the person of Sandy found somebody. If he found another kind of wanderer, he's no longer lonely. It seems this guy's not really going anywhere. He could always correspond for the book. You don't know.
All right, so yeah, Dragon, I will admit that I did watch the episode that this is attached to, because I figured, like, hey, I paid $2 for these 2 episodes, so I'll watch the other one, and the other one was Dum Dums and Dragons, and Dragon. And honestly, Dragon is my final thought. I feel like just that experience of watching that particular episode, which is very Billy heavy, mixed with this episode, yeah, I prefer the episodes that are Billy light, I gotta say.
Yeah.
But this was just a very pleasant little kind of bonus bit of content from our Universal homages, Dragon. I feel like this is a really good kind of like supplemental choice to the main courses that we have of Universal monsters. It was a good idea to cover this one this year.
Well, that makes me pleased.
All right. That's it. No final thoughts on your end?
I mean, final thoughts on my end. Again, I adore what Philomar does as Dracula and Billy and Mandy, and they brought him back a couple more times after this. They actually kind of tied him into one of the characters. He's Erwin's grandfather, somehow. But this one's a go-to for me.
Uncle Grandpa? I'm
sorry?
That's literally the concept of Uncle Grandpa.
Well, I mean. Well, no. Well, here's the thing. Erwin had like a mummy as a grandmother, so that's what I'm saying. Yeah, so it's like
I'm just saying, like, literally the concept of Uncle Grandpa is that he's cosmically like everyone's grandfather.
I don't really think it's the same equivocation at all here. He's specifically one character's grandfather. So.
All right.
Yeah, but thanks for dredging that one up. That's horrific. So.
Don't worry, kid. None of this is canon.
God. Regardless. Yeah, so I do like going back to this episode again because it gave us the whole Dracula don't suck, scrape and lick. And again, it's a fun little adventure. And again, amidst the comedy, there is a little bit of heart. It's some ridiculous heart when you really think about it. But it's nice. Again, it's kind of the don't meet your heroes story. But again, it still has the same sentiment. Like, yeah, really don't meet your heroes. You can skip out on the check at the end of the day. But it was nice. It's quite funny, and yeah, it's in kind of our coverage here. It's nice that we're covering some of the parodies and some of the stuff that the tomes of horror and the Universal horror in this case have inspired and shaken loose. And like never in a million years would you expect like a Red Fox take on Dracula, and it plays. It really does.
All right, well said. So, folks, that's the end of tonight's spooky selection. And our spirits grow weary. But they'll be stronger than ever next time as we engage in even more Haunted Holiday Hijinks.
Stop laughing, big dummy.
Like an angry woman.